There are two Americas. In my research for this week's full episode, I came across a good article that outlines where America is at and appears to be going by this week's full episode guest, retired Army Colonel and senior DoD official John Mills. It starts like this, quote, "If you haven't noticed, the United States is reorganizing itself into two Americas, blue and red. Although there is a president of the United States, the state governors are in many ways now driving the national narrative in this new America. The president and the vice president are who they are now because 6 Republican-controlled states forwarded questionable electoral votes, and Vice President Pence missed a historic opportunity to challenge those votes. The current president and vice president seem trapped in a foggy and abstract ideological slogans war rather than providing elected executive leadership. Vague generalities and virtue signaling are not replacements for executive leadership. And who are the true executive leaders of the two Americas? Florida and Texas on one side, California and New York on the other side. The governors essentially dominate the bully pulpit formerly occupied by a sitting president. Many of the rest of the American states have aligned with one side or the other," end quote. Friends, when I ran for office a few years ago, one of the things I told people over and over was that when flying over this country for 25 years, I never saw any red or blue states, only the United States of America. But I realized that today, Mills is much closer to the reality of the situation than my view was. He skillfully describes our separation from each other in the stark terms of reality on the ground all around this country. We are now divided or dividing rapidly in the core streams of American life. First, our public discourse is now under an umbrella of what Mills calls a digital apartheid being enforced by the leftist social justice crowd and big tech oligarchs. Those not firmly on the left are being forced out of social media platforms like Facebook and Twitter and herded to those like the new frankspeech.com, just activated by Mike Lindell. But social media is only the tip of the iceberg. Mills goes on to identify that we now have two banking systems, 2 media systems, 2 corporate systems, and of course the government and education systems are now firmly in the what Mills calls the blue state camp. But is all lost? Mills doesn't think so, and I agree with him. The trends are all going against Team Blue and favoring Team Red when one looks at the movement of Americans. It is happening very fast compared to previous times in our history. Americans are voting with their feet and headed to the red states like Florida and Texas. That's what happens. The unintended consequences of big government action, which usually ends in what I call failure, and people will move to where there is more freedom, not less. So keep it up, Americans. If you love this country and believe in its founding principles, keep pushing back. Don't let the tyrants of blue states get you down, because freedom will win out in the end as they shrivel and die on the vine.